Well, hello, Internet, and welcome to the Comic Watchers Show, episode 81, Best Robin Ever Smackdown! Starring your Comic Watchers. I'm your host, Matt. With me, as ever, are Nick and Mike. Gentlemen, how are we doing this week?
We're good. Tired of teleworking. I'm completely grateful that I'm teleworking. But just ready for all this stuff to get over, ready for comics to be back on the shelves, and just ready to get back to normal life, whatever that is. Right. Other than that, we're hanging in there here on the East Coast.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the 20th is the day we're supposed to be getting comics back. It's slowly rolling in, so I'm looking forward to that.
I got 3 brand new comics this week, so we're up from the 2 of the previous week. Thanks, PC. So this week we're doing things a little bit different. Obviously, we're going live. That's awesome. We welcome your participation, your comments, even your hate mail for when I'm inevitably told that I'm wrong. But first and foremost, as ever, we're going to dive into the news of the week with Scoop Johnson.
We always got news, and which is really good because I'm excited that we're starting to get some regular work in the press department. So this is really rad that we have some really good news. First and foremost, I want to start off with the news that Jeff Lemire is bringing Sweet Tooth back to DC. This is awesome. I was totally stoked when I read this, when I heard this, and maybe I did a story on the website. I don't know. Maybe you should go to comicwatch.com and check it out. But Sweet Tooth is coming back, and so that's very, very exciting. He actually announced it on Twitter. I want to say Tuesday night, so that was really rad. And if you guys haven't checked out Sweet Tooth, definitely check that out. Great Vertigo title when Vertigo was around. So Marvel, another great story that just came earlier today is we are finally getting an origin story of Maestro. And this, I know. And Matt, we'll talk offline about Mr. Dibbs.
No, it won't.
It wasn't even dry, sir. But, and this is one of those books that I really want to give a tip of the cap at Marvel because they have a great team doing this. Written by Peter David, art by Herman Peralta and Dale Keown, covers by Dale Keown and George Perez. So if you ever wanted a team to do a Hulk book, aside from Al Ewing not being on this, this is a good team to do a Hulk related book, and especially Maestro. So look out for that. That's going to be really good.
When was the ship date for that?
I don't think we have a ship date for that.
Okay.
Yeah, there was not a ship date for that. But I would imagine, and I'm not going to assume, I'm going to use that word, but I would say maybe summertime. I would say something like that. A big fancy book like that would maybe be a summertime, especially when stuff starts to get rolling again and stuff starts to get, new books, new ink on shelves and stuff like that.
Right.
So another cool news flash from IDW and the Humble Comics bundle, Humble Bundle, if you will. Joe Hill is taking his turn with it. And obviously Joe Hill, Lock and Key fame. So he has, a plethora of books on this Humble Bundle. Well, this is live too, right? So Derbs can't knock this out. This is good. So anyway, the Humble,
putting you out of work, Derbs.
Yeah, right. So the Humble Bundle has there's 3 tiers, and basically I think it goes in $5, $10, and $15 increments. And you pay what you want. So if you just want to pay $5, there is a load of books that you get. You want to pay $10 or a little more, there's more books you can unlock to get. If you want to pay $15 or more, there's another load of books you can get. But not only Lock and Key is on there, you got Dying is Easy, Shadow Show, which is some really cool stories celebrating Ray Bradbury. So if you're into Joe Hill's work, which you should be reading anything by Joe Hill, go and check this out as well. Our friends at AWA, we have just put up their Old Haunts trailer on the site as well. It's about 3 guys that are getting ready to go into retirement, but the ghosts of their past kind of come up and kind of start putting a wrench in their plans. So AWA has been putting out some really good stuff, and they are going to put out some really good stuff once, stuff starts to get rolling again, but definitely check that out as well. And to end our news, something I know that I'm excited about, I know Matt's probably going to do a quick cartwheel about, is Savage Dragon 250. The covers, but we got covers by Walt Simonson, Frank Cho, Ryan Otley, Scotty Young, and the almighty Rob Father himself are all contributing to this cover. I didn't like that eye roll, Matt, by the way. I saw that.
That wasn't intended as an eye roll.
But no, those covers are on
I thought you were going to say Eric Larson.
Yeah.
And because, Savage Dragon, and then you said Rob Father, it kind of threw me off.
But yeah, so those covers on the site as well, and just check it out. There's some there's some good stuff on there as well. But that's it for the news. Anything breaking? I haven't seen anything as well. Unless you gentlemen have something.
Yes, I do actually. And I don't want to say it wrong, but Diamonds back the comeback initiative. Yes, that's kind of big news. And it's also kind of divisive news, because what Diamond is doing is they're trying to partner with the bigger publishers to not flood, but put a bunch of covers on the market with a back the comeback stamp on it as an effort to gin up collectors to get back in the shops. This has kind of been met. The idea at its core is to get people excited about coming back into their comic stores. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it, just because it's Diamond. They've got a giant monopoly. They're maybe a little scared because DC broke with them in recent weeks to get books on the shelves ahead of Diamond shipping. But, it's a thing that's happening. Despite however you feel about Diamond and Steve Jeppy, it's coming regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Sure.
But I think that's it.
I think that is. They probably could have picked a better slogan. It's
very slogan-y.
Yeah,
that way.
It's like make comics great again or something.
Something else I ran into today was Scott Snyder announced that Dark Knight's Death Metal will, and this part should come as no surprise, but it will have some tie-ins shipping in August. But 2 of those tie-ins, one of them is Legends of the Dark Batman, and it's got a ton of great creators working on it. Warren Ellis is doing some kind of a Bat T-Rex story. Garth Ennis is in there. Becky Cloonan. Lots of hot names and artists. It's going to definitely be worth checking out. And then the other thing that's going to ship is going to be a death metal. I forget the exact name of it, but less Guide to the World, or various dark multiverse worlds and all the various Batmen they're in. So, getting the death metal train rolling. The adjusted ship date for issue 1 of that series is June 16th. Obviously, it was supposed to have shipped this month, but so it goes in the age of COVID. So, get your death metal on in June. Oh, and it's also been expanded to 7 issues from 6, which should come as no surprise to anyone.
Yeah.
So that's how it goes. But hey, thank you for the news. Been a lot of action this week. I'm super glad that our press department has actually had things to cover.
Yeah,
I know Nick is too, because it helps keep stuff rolling on the site.
Yeah.
It's just good to get that cycle back going. Looking forward to stuff again.
Yeah, for a minute I thought I was going to get furloughed from the press department. I was just going to start doing this.
We'll never get furloughed because we don't pay you. So,
all right, let's do this.
Let's do this. So, we're a little late to this party because Robin's official 80th anniversary party was actually back in, I think, March when that one shot came out. We talked about it on the show at the time. But just in honor of the world's flyest octogenarian and his short pants, we decided we would throw down SmackDown style. Who is the best Robin? Cody was supposed to jump in here to defend Jason Todd. Very indefensible, I think. And I think he's being a coward right now. Or maybe he's just busy because, kids. But so Robin, Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, Jason Todd, Damian Wayne. We got ancillary ones too. We got Stephanie, we got Carrie from Dark Knight World. So we're just gonna kind of get into this a little bit and kind of weigh the pros and the cons of each of these characters. We really welcome your participation and your comments as we go on. But let's start with the newest Robin first. Nick, how about Damian? What's up with this guy?
Oh,
goodness, because this is something I actually have heavy feelings about, I guess, because Damian to me is the best Robin, and I have a few things that I can kind of provide to substantiate that, but ultimately I think it's the dynamic between him and Batman. Robin is intrinsically connected to Batman. It's not a character that you see often on their own, and it's that relationship that I'm looking for and what Robin brings out in Batman and vice versa. And that's ultimately where my opinion with Damian Wayne lies, because that bond and that relationship is so crazy. But he's also a character that's relatively new. There's not, when you talk about Dick Grayson, there's not hundreds of these comics that you can go back and read through, all these different decades. So it's modern books that people probably have missed out on in these Batman and Robin stories and stuff like that. But he's the new kid on the block, but he can take on any of the other Robins. I don't think that's any question in anybody's mind. The big issue is he's too much of a jerk, and I think that's an unfiltered look at Batman. If you take Batman as a child, basically Bruce Wayne as a child, and you can see where the influences happen with Damian. And it took a while for him to come into his own. After the Morrison era, you start getting into stuff like Tomasi, where he's a bit more heartwarming, and you see that the jerk or the pointy facade that he puts on, where he's pushes everybody away with his meanness and stuff, is actually just a wall for this emotional vulnerability. And that's when you start to fall in love with him. And that's when you start to see the complexities of the character and how the DC's used him. And it's just, I love him. And none of the other Robins hit that father-son approach and that level of depth for me.
Okay. So from the newest to the OG, Mike, talk to us about Dick Grayson.
Yeah, and I'm going to hit on really quick what Nick just said. I think that what we don't really talk about a lot is that Damian, Bruce connection, because they are father and son. So I think there's going to be that different relationship, I mean, because of Damian's training, and he just has that natural ability. So I think there is, I think Damian does get some unfair judgment just because he probably is the newest kid on the block. And he's the youngest, but Damian has some cool parts, but I just don't know if he's ready for that mantle yet. I still have him as number 3. But I just think that Damian, he just, I don't know, maybe it's just, he needs to be just older, once he recognizes the greatness of Pearl Jam and stuff like that, maybe he'll be ready to, wear the mantle. But anyway, we're going to talk about the OG and why Dick Grayson is the best. With Dick Grayson, you get you got to talk about one or two things. If we're going to talk about Dick Grayson solo, or if we're going to talk about Dick Grayson as a duo, as Robin, right? I mean, obviously, we're not going to go in the Nightwing, era, nothing like that. But Dick Grayson is the polar opposite of what Bruce is, right? And every good team, you got to have that yin and yang, that balance. And Dick Grayson, I think, out of all the Robins, has been that great balance. Whereas Bruce just wants to go drop people off a building, not kill them, but he just wants to break 80% of their bones, send them to Gotham General, teach them a lesson. Where Dick is like, hey, do we really need to throw him off the building? Excuse me. And just kind of maybe try to reel Bruce in a little bit, and he did that for so long. And I think that's why we see him break apart and find himself and become Nightwing. But we're not here to talk about that. So we're not going to talk about that era.
We're going to talk about the blue disco suit.
The blue disco suit, bring it back. I got it hanging in the closet.
High collar and everything.
Yeah, exactly. All right. But I think with Dick, you just have that he is just that natural born leader. We've seen him lead the Titans. We've seen him lead the Teen Titans. We've seen him wear the cowl. And my question is, who's the better Batman? Is it Dick or Bruce? That's for another show. Maybe or maybe not. I don't know. But but no, I just think with Dick, he just has that natural ability to kind of steal the room. And I think that's kind of what Bruce in some regards didn't like, because we see, I think it was in the middle of the Jeff Johns run, where as this time as Nightwing, he just kind of came into the room and excluded Superman and Batman, excused them, and kind of like took the reins, to lead the Titans and stuff like that. But I think the only thing that hinders Dick Grayson as being kind of like maybe the overall, where so many people don't want to glom onto him and maybe kind of switch over to a Damian or to Tim, is where he broke off and became someone else. I think that hinders the story. I think that hinders the argument, but at the same time, I think that's makes the argument that much more better, because he had the testicular fortitude to break off, to say, you know what, Bruce, you treated me right sometimes, but I got to go do my own thing. This is just, I thank you for the opportunity. I thank you. I've graduated Batman University. I got to go use this degree and go do something else. And to me, that's what always just lured me to Dick Grayson as being just the ultimate Robin overall, not going through comic stories. I think if you just take his persona, I just think that's what that natural leadership, he made it. He remade himself, and I think that's attractive. Like, you can be the best Nightwing, but this is the best Robin. And if he wants to be Nightwing, then he can be the best Nightwing.
So let me throw some things out there about Dick Grayson. First of all, I love Dick Grayson. Fantastic character. I love him. Yeah. He's one of my favorites. But the story of Dick Grayson is not solely Robin. It's also and don't get me wrong, that's highly important. He sets the template historically for what a sidekick does, what a sidekick looks like, their function in relation to the hero. Okay. I mean, he's created to be the kid that the kid reader in the 1940s can identify with and want to be. Right. And that's important. Like, there's a huge historical significance to that. But there's also decades upon decades where he's just stuck in that role, because that's just what comics were. And it took until the late 60s, early 70s, until DC started really trying to make him into, and not just him, but I mean all of their characters, into actual characters, actual people with internal lives. And it's not until then that Dick Grayson really becomes interesting. Like, let's be honest. He's not afraid to tell Batman to shove it. I'm going to college. You do you,
right.
boo.
Right.
And that's important. That's important for his character. But equally important as his time of Robin is the fact that he transitioned from the role and became Nightwing. He didn't want to grow up. He didn't want to be Batman. He wanted to continue being his own person, and that's fantastically important. But I think talking about Dick Grayson in solely terms of Robin does a disservice to that character. Now, while he sets the template for what Robin is, I think that Tim Drake perfected it. And setting the template is important, but perfecting it, that's something else entirely. Because Tim Drake, here's this kid, he's not driven by trauma or any sort of revenge fantasies or anything like that. He's a smart kid who saw in the newspaper that Batman was getting more violent and more ruthless. And this was, of course, in the wake of Jason Todd's death. And it dawns on this 11-year-old kid that without a Robin, Batman is too dark. He's incomplete. And on his own, he pieces together that Bruce Wayne is Batman and comes up to him and says, I want to be Robin. It's not, I want to be Robin and then graduate to Batman. Being Robin is his aspiration. And to me, because he's his own person, he's got his own motivations. He's a hell of a detective in his own right. I mean, without Bruce Wayne's training, he figures out Batman's identity. I mean, come on. To me, that makes Tim the best Robin. And I think that a lot of people agree with me on that just because he maintained that solo run for almost 200 issues starting in the 90s. Tim Drake stuck around for a while. He got shafted after Damian came on the scene. But
pretty good run, though. I will say that.
I want to say his solo run went 180 issues or something like that before transitioning to Red Robin, which we don't want to talk about.
Hey, guys, great French fries, though, at Red Robin.
No, here's my question with Tim Drake.
Okay.
What specifically does he bring out in Batman as the counterpart Robin that is unique to Drake?
Because Batman sees him as... Oh, there's Chad.
Uh-oh.
Because Batman sees him as... What's up, Chad? Batman sees him not necessarily as an equal, but not as a subordinate either. He sees him as a partner. Whereas that relationship with Dick and Jason after him was always mentor-mentee. With Tim, it's more of a true partnership.
Yeah. Okay. I get that.
It's there. I mean, I still think that, Dick Grayson kind of, put cheese on the hamburger, introduced a cheeseburger, and then sure, you can say, Tim and everyone else came on and put lettuce and tomato on it, but the original still molded Bruce for I think everyone else to follow, and I think he was, as he learned what not to do, as what he did with Dick Grayson, he knew better. Obviously Jason Todd, that whole story effed him up for probably still now until Selena left him at the altar, but we're not going to talk about that issue.
Boy, let's not get into that.
But no, I think we're, that's that one thing is that, Dick Grayson always had that he just molded Bruce, and I just think, Tim kind of, honestly, I think Damian, and this could just be the father-son aspect, but I think Damian may have that new molding, to Bruce to kind of maybe keep him in check a little bit. Because to me, when you put Bruce and Tim in the same room, that's two Batmans, right? That is two people that just want to break noses, throw people.
No, that's not true of Tim.
You don't think so?
No.
Now I'll give you he's the better detective out of all of them. But I get that, but
he doesn't want to go out there and break people's noses. He wants to stop bad guys. He's not in it to beat people up.
I'm telling you, he's throwing people off buildings. Him and Bruce are just shoving people off buildings.
Okay, let's see what Chad. What do you have to say on this?
Yeah, Chad, let's bring you into the conversation.
I was just braving the great outdoors. So, the great indoors of a shop.
Yeah.
So, all I have to say is, I mean, I'm a Tim Drake type. He's the Robin I came in with. I remember the Robin miniseries being one of the first things that I read. But I think that even the Robin, even everybody, all those that have been Robin don't know who the best Robin is, because I just keep going back to the panels in Heroes in Crisis, where they're going, Tim's going, Dick's the funny one, Jason's the bad boy, and Damien's the whatever, and they all have their own thoughts about the other one, and then when it gets to Damien, he's like, I'm fine. What did they say about me?
Yeah.
But as my segue out, sorry I can't stay very long, but I'm going to say I like Tim Drake, but I think they really screwed him up when they brought Damien in and made him Red Robin.
Well, they didn't know what to do with him anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Damien was supposed to be around as long as he was, or supposed to stick around.
Could be.
Because I thought,
I'm not 100% sure, but I think Morrison maybe did intend to leave him dead at the end of his
thought.
Well, because I mean, all the other Robins, they got cool, persona. I mean, we had Nightwing, then we had Red Hood. Damien kind of is making a name for himself, and then we get Red Robin. That's it.
With a weird Kingdom Come throwback costume for no apparent reason.
Yeah, I mean,
that was worn by Dick in Kingdom Come. That. Yeah, that made absolutely no sense at all.
Yeah,
it was always weird to me that he broke off and kept
the countdown.
What's that?
What was that, Chad?
I think they tried to tie that in with the countdown to Final Crisis.
Well, if it's tied into Countdown, then it was probably nonsense. So.
and at that point, I gotta get going.
All right. 3 hours of why we hate Countdown next week on the Comic Watchers Show. Chad, thanks for stopping in, buddy. Drop in anytime.
Definitely. Okay, so if I can say these characters and their what they're bringing to the role, and if they're the best Robin, and talked about Dick kind of bringing the mold and then Tim perfecting it. There's only one character that was really born for this role and was, from in the womb was basically being trained for this. Mm-hmm. And if there's anything that Batman is known for, it's preparation. And if there's any Robin who is more prepared for this role, it's got to be Damien. And that's this.
He was trained by murderers. I mean, how was that? Here, you were trained by murderers. Go out and be a crime fighter.
I would actually say that in a way, because he was quote unquote born to it, Damien in how he acts is actually the least suited to the role. However, he understands that cognitively over time, and as he grows as a character, he realizes who he should be rather than who he was raised to be. Because he's an arrogant little shit. And if anyone's reading Teen Titans right now, he's really pulled some dick moves in there lately. Oh my God. Yeah. I can't believe Crush just hasn't crushed him or any of them.
Yeah.
Jeez, dude. back off yourself.
But he's able to do that because he's so capable.
Yeah, but he also part of Damien's issue, and this is part of the way the character is designed, is he has all of this adult thinking, all these adult thinking patterns or what have you, all this training as an adult, but he has the mind of a child and the emotional maturity of a 12-year-old, or I guess he's 13 now. So those two things play off each other. I mean, Damien's an awesome character. Yeah. Now, I think there's a reason why he's consistently stuck around in the role of Robin since 2007?
Yeah, it started in 2006.
Yeah, 2006.
And that's something I have a whole thing on that I learned a lot about him doing research for this episode. He was around since 1987. And and I have not read Son of the Demon. And I am almost ashamed to say that.
Son of the Demon was originally conceived as out of continuity.
Yeah,
it retroactively became continuity.
Yeah, Morrison goes in and pulls it in for like 655 is when I think he brought him in, and from that, I guess I've noticed there were 3 eras of Damien. You've got Morrison in all of the Batman run, and then you've got the Batman and Robin, which is a little strange. With you've got Dick being Batman, which could be going into our next show of who is the best Batman. That series could be really important. And then as that winds down, you come into this new 52 era. And that's when I started getting in, that's when I started really getting heavy into DC. So that I feel like that's why I'm more, I lean more towards this character because he's really getting this prominence at this time. Yeah. And then as Matt said, like in the Rebirth era, he's really gone crazy with the Teen Titans and is offset a lot by this new Super Sons run. So it's,
well, and I mean, to be fair, I think you're going to gravitate naturally towards whoever was Robin when you were getting into comics. That's just natural.
Yeah. So, I think Chad mentioned it too with Drake. Yeah.
And that's a huge thing with anything that you get into, especially with comics. You're going to defend, that era of a book or a writer, artist, whatever. You're going to come in and you're going to find ways, even if you are the only person in the room that is defending him, me with Rob Liefeld. But I think when you defend that part, it's just you become, that character becomes a part of you. I think when you're introduced to that book, you're introduced to that book and you're reading that first panel and that first story, and you're going like, holy shit, like this is good stuff. This is what I'm attached to, but I mean, so far you guys have put up some decent arguments, but I'm going to say probably none of them are going to be stronger because myself, Twitter, the rest of the million fans, Comic Watch.
Everybody knows that if you want to skew the results of a poll in your favor, you ask the question in a misleading way towards the answer you want. Everybody knows that. Politics 101.
Well, you know what, sir? No one said that when they asked me to post it on Twitter. So guess what? Guess what I did? No.
Yeah. All right.
But no, I think that's the biggest thing, though, is I mean, we all have our favorites. Yeah. But I think realistically, I think we can all see what they bring as Robin. And I think the main ones we're going to talk about, Tim, Dick, and Damien, they all have their own persona, their own era, their own things. Yeah. You have this smorgasbord, this buffet of Robin, right? But wow, that sounds really dark and evil.
That is a lot dirtier than I think you meant it to.
Yeah.
But you have this, and
like we were eating sushi off of Dick Grayson's stomach, his rock hard abs.
Well, I'm not doing anything this weekend. What are you guys doing? But
it just seems more like Batman choosing which Robin is next,
who is going to no, but I think all three of them, the three main, they bring in their own story, their own way of doing things, their own things of wrangling in Bruce. And And to be honest, I think that's what makes a great Robin is your job is not to be so much a sidekick. Your job is to make sure Bruce doesn't kill anyone while wearing the cowl. That's
Batman's not going to kill anyone. We know that.
That's your main goal. You know, if he's going to throw someone off the top of a building, how tall is the building? Do the quick math. If the thug is going to fall 80 feet, how many bones is he going to break per second? So that's going to be the Great Robin.
That's interesting because if that is the parameters, it's probably not going to be Damian. I mean, in Damian 666, he pretty much is like, "I'm sorry, I promised I wouldn't kill," and then snap.
That and Damian, I don't even think he's in Algebra 1 yet, is he? So I mean, if he's still in school, he's not even there yet. So
I think a support system for Batman is important. Like that's what Robin brings.
Yeah.
And in the Gotham that we have now with like these crazy powerful characters, it's one of the key things that come up when you talk about Damian is the fact that he beat Deathstroke, and that will forever infuriate fans. And I think that's something that is it comes to the forefront because you talk about, the fighting ability, and that support I think is where, arguably I think I would rather have Damian on my side taking on these villains of Gotham. There's a strong case for Tim Drake with that, stopping Batman from being this terrible person, though, because that's the morality that I feel like I would lean to for that. But we got John Jack joining us.
We do. We have Comic Watch. John Jack back in the house.
I'm in the parking lot of the weed store.
Always a party when John Jack is here.
I just bought a big pile of weed. I love Washington. I literally hit the legal limit and they had to stop me from buying anything else.
So, Robin. So who's the best Robin? Enlighten
Okay,
us.
So I feel like if you're going by Robins, you have to go by their stories as Robin. And I just don't feel like – I feel like Dick is the easy answer, but I don't feel like I've seen enough good stories with Dick, like focusing on Dick Grayson, where he is Robin wearing the damn pixie boots. And so I think it really, if you get into solo stories, it really comes down to Tim versus Damian. And I was pretty young when Tim became, I was actually like a toddler when Tim became Robin. But I feel like Tim, to me, as a kid reading Batman comics, was the thing holding Batman up from whooping wholesale ass on every single page. Like, he was the wettest of wet blankets. I was never happy to hear him speak. And then everybody he loved died, and he turned into a whiny little bitch for like 6 years. Like, oh my God.
Totally out of character, but
It happened.
I know.
I read every issue of his solo series, and I still don't like him. But you know what? Damian, on the other hand, I always liked him. I've read probably the majority of his appearances in comics. Since, I own his first appearance. I have, the entire Morrison run. I loved him in the Morrison run. I loved the progression they gave him as a character. See, the thing is, when you get into Tim, his character progression went from annoying to terrible, and he never recovered. Whereas Damian has gotten better over the years and has gotten to the point where, although I will say in recent Teen Titans, he's kind of backslid to, with the prison and all that.
We just talked about
that. But you go into like Morrison's Batman and Robin run, and I love Damian. And the thing is, whenever you see anything like Volume 3 of Nightwing's Rebirth series was Dick and Damian doing another team up in the vein, fighting Dr. Hurt, even in the vein of the Batman and Robin run, and it was great. And a good chunk of that is like Damian's reluctance to open up and stuff like that makes it all the more important and interesting when he does. And plus, Damian has this depth of character that Tim doesn't have, being, grandson of Ra's al Ghul, and like he's got so much potential in him in the future as well. Whereas Tim could die tomorrow and I wouldn't care. Tim did die and I didn't care.
That's heartbreaking because I really love the Tinian run on Detective.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but he died and then he came back and it was nothing. I actually, of all the things, the only time I've really liked Tim was when he came back in the Tinian run as Savior, which was horrendously out of character, yes, but made sense in context. And that was probably one of the more interesting things they've ever done with Tim, having Tim go up against himself and then revealing that it was, the post-crisis continuity Tim, and which actually it made a lot of organic sense for where he would have gone as a character, like had Flashpoint not happened and he'd been allowed to age naturally. Like Tim was going down a pretty dark road, and then Flashpoint happened and it reset him in a lot of ways. And then
I think, is Cody on board here?
I think he is.
Off and on.
Can you hear us, Cody? Doodloo.
Cody.
I think he's meditating.
Someone say last rites.
The young blood.
He's in and out.
I don't know what's going on with Cody. Well, maybe signs of life.
Hello. Yeah, my computer's being really pretty slow right now. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Welcome to the convo.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Check. 1, 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Volume down. I don't know what's going on here.
No, we're good. We can hear you. You're frozen. You have no movement. We can hear you.
Oh. Hey.
That's true.
Hey, guys.
Cody. So,
So,
we
I
have
get-
Todd.
I get everything that John Jack was just saying. I get it.
I dropped my phone.
All right.
Is
Hey,
that
I'll be
Jerry
back.
Bumpy Rider?
Okay.
Or what?
That top-notch material that John Jack brings to the table.
The old gang is here. Time to start arguing.
Weed stores and dropping phones. But I don't feel like I've seen I mean, granted, I haven't read a lot of pre-crisis Teen Titans, which is, I think, the main solo Dick series in a way. But again, that's him on a teen book or a team book, and I don't like teen books. And like, I also don't really like the Teen Titans, so it's a little. I hurt Mike's brain.
I think you can get into that
Next
with a lot
week
of
on the
different
Comic Watcher show. Thank you for joining in. What the hell?
Because, like, inexplicably with the other Robins, the conversation turns to what they did after being Robin or what they've done outside.
Yeah,
of
But yeah, if you're going, who's the best Robin? Who's the best Robin while being Robin? Though that's
That's who it is. That's why we're having this goddamn episode.
and Tim Drake. Tim Drake was my least favorite Robin in that context, and he's been Robin probably one. Like he definitely has the longest running solo series as Robin. Like, but what came of it? I can think of a few standout issues. Like, I really liked his fight with Steel Jacket, but that ended up with him falling back on Batman. And I loved when he got captured by Lockup and Dick had to come save him, but that was Dick as Nightwing, and he was just he could have been anybody. He could have been a rando off the street in that arc.
All right, Cody, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Hey, all right. Well, let's bring Cody into the conversation. So, you promised us some defense of Jason Todd before the show.
I did that.
And we have yet to touch on Jason Todd. So,
great timing.
I mean, I know that I'm alone in the crowd, and actually, the more I think about this, the more I think, he does have an argument in the grand scheme of things, but I don't think he's my choice. Ooh. I think what I'm hearing from you guys so far, and I'm sorry I missed so much. I fell asleep. Happens.
Stupid human.
Is y'all are talking about the characters. Who's a better character? Who's a better character? Tim's character progression and Dick's character progression. But that's not what the question is. The question is, who's the best Robin? So what does it mean to be a Robin, right? So you're talking about someone that can provide balance to the Batman. Let's not even say Bruce, like to Batman. Someone who can even that out, right? So somebody who is bringing something to the table that the Batman at the time cannot bring to the table.
Mhm.
So by that merit, the Damian Bruce relationship is inherently flawed.
Oh.
Because
Well,
Damian,
Mr. Texas,
Damian
you're
nonsense.
politics now, sir.
Move this
Damian
man.
brings no balance to Bruce.
I've
Bruce
crashed and
spends
burned.
most of his time bringing balance to Damian.
That's the key,
No,
though. That's
same-
the best part.
Same with Jason. The best Robin is Damian to Dick.
Yes.
Oh.
That's what I
That
said
is-
too, though. So,
That is the best
Wow.
Robin. Now,
Wow.
following that is Tim. Tim brought a lot of brightness to Bruce that was left in the darkness from Jason, right? So Jason
wet
dies
blankitude.
and has probably the biggest impact. Jason's death is probably the biggest impact any Robin has had on Batman.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? Tim
Yeah.
comes along and he provides that counterbalance in a really great way. You know, he's a really bright character, intelligent. He figures the whole damn thing out by himself. Like, I don't know, fucking Jim Gordon hadn't figured it out yet.
Jim's stupid.
Jim always knew.
Jim's an idiot.
Sipping his ginger ale, pretending it's champagne. We're on to you.
Champagne.
I would actually go out and argue that the worst Robin is Dick. Dick is the best of the characters. I've also probably read a lot more Dick as Robin than the rest of y'all. But
Yeah.
he was a pitfall. Like, he brought nothing to he was a target, I guess. And that's, became kind of like the running joke for Robins is y'all
Sure.
are the distraction.
The boy hostage.
But yeah, like I always felt like Dick as Robin outside of his Teen Titans time. His Teen Titans time as Robin, which was not actually being a Robin. It was being Dick.
Robin. It was being Robin.
Yeah, whatever. It just didn't work for me. Like, to be Robin is to be defined by the balance you provide Batman. That's why Damian to Dick is the best.
But it's why Damian Bruce is the best because
Yeah.
the Robin
He brings no
Batman
balance.
dynamic. But you get that balance out of the father-son dynamic and that growth, and it's both
Plus, a
ways.
bloodthirsty Robin is the best.
The growth that Damian provides Bruce is
You need
that
Batman to talk you down? You need Batman to talk you down? What the hell?
Yeah,
Just
that's the problem.
Batman says you're taking it too far?
also, arguably, nobody has written a good Damian story outside of Grant Morrison.
Tomasi.
Mhm.
I don't like Tomasi's stuff at all. Actually, I'm starting to really realize I don't like Tomasi. No offense to him. I think he's a better editor than he is a writer.
He's
I
got
think
his
I agree
moments.
with that.
But yeah,
Um,
I just don't see anybody getting his characterization consistently from issue to issue in any other run that I've read outside of Batman and Robin, which is a masterwork.
Mhm.
Mhm. But I think Tomasi evolved that character past what Morrison was able to accomplish in that entire run, and what you see in the New 52 is
Yeah,
kind
I
of
just
what
don't think it's good.
elevated it kind of elevated Damien in that whole direction, and it drove home that point that it's what Damien brings to the role of Robin that makes him so qualified and ultimately the best interpretation of that role.
And what is
counterpart
that?
of Batman.
What is that?
What?
What is that?
Stabbiness.
Role.
What
Robin
he
needs
brings
to stab.
role. On top of like his capability, it's his emotional vulnerability that he provides to Batman that feels like it's a facade, that feels like it's something that Batman is working through, but it's not. It's something that these two are providing intangible things to each other, and that relationship and that growth is something that you're not finding from any other Robin.
And I do feel like he humanizes Bruce more than Tim did.
Just depends, Scoop.
Oh, God. Okay, good. Once I started to get the shakes, I'm like, all right. Making sure what's going on in Hawaii.
Tim was always the wet blanket or the arguing. He's always arguing or storming out of the cave.
Who, Damien?
Well, I think you're going to go through that. I mean, you can't compare Tim. You really can't compare any relationship to Batman of the Robins to Damian and Bruce, because they're going to have that father-son relationship. So anything other than,
what's the best?
Come on now.
All of them were his kids.
It's like
there's something different
Bruce
there.
and Damian is like a mobile daycare, with privilege. That's where we're going. We're going with great costumes. We're going with really cool cars. That's what we're working with here with Bruce.
We're gonna say that relationship can't be replicated by any other Robin, then that's more of an indictment on Bruce than it is a boon to Damian. Because
fair enough.
Boys. He didn't even raise Damian.
No, murderers did, by the way.
But those other kids were his kids.
Okay.
Oh, especially once Tim becomes an orphan. Oh.
Tim was like 14 when he became Robin. He didn't raise him either.
Yeah.
He didn't raise any of them.
Well, it's interesting. Tim came in second.
He was the young adult Robin.
There's a huge following for Tim.
Thank God he put pants on.
That's second really only to Dick. Tim has this following that I think a lot of fans latch onto, that a lot of Robins aren't providing. And I really didn't expect him to take second place, to be honest. I thought, Dick for sure is going to win, but I thought for sure Damian would come in second at least. And
Damian's got recency on his side, but he's never been a Robin where there wasn't other Robins around. But what Tim has on his side also is timing, right? Because that's the Robin of my generation, of Scoop's generation, of Matt's generation. And we're the target demo for a lot of comic writing. We are the ones buying most of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Has anybody talked about Jarro yet?
No.
No.
I mean, Jarro is officially the best Robin. If you put Jarro on that poll,
I was waiting for it. Jarro.
I mean, and we got Stephanie, we got Carrie, whatever. I can take or leave Carrie, but I thought Stephanie was a great Robin too, for her short time in the sun.
Brief tenure, yeah, a lot of fun, something completely different.
Yeah, but Carrie had the better hair though.
I don't know. Stephanie had that beefy ass mane when she was Robin. Was that Scott McDaniel drawing Batman at the time? I think it was. Master of the gymnast kick.
I think if you're talking about relationships with Robin and Batman, Carrie Kelly does provide an interesting one, contrasting Frank Miller's Batman. There's something there that she brings out that you don't find anywhere else, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, it's similar to what you're arguing for with Damian, right? Like, it's a paternal instinct that kicks in with him. That he also has with Carrie, and he has moments with everybody, but...
All right. Well, I have an alternate opinion on who's the best Robin here that wants to share with us when she heard what we were doing on the show.
Who's the best Robin? Tell us.
Who is it?
Read your list. Talk into the mic. Say
hi.
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 Teen Titans Go is the best because
I think the Robin on Teen Titans Go is the best because he
speaking in a girl voice.
He made Cyborg Ding Dong ditch Batman's house, and they made Robin do the booty scooty.
Yes,
and Robin got them stuck in a TV. and they killed themselves so they could scare the hive.
And that was Robin's idea, wasn't it?
Yes. And they were being gentlemen to the girls, and they were super weird and silly about it.
And that's why Teen Titans Go Robin is the best Robin.
Plus, he's got the tiny hands.
There you go.
Tiny
There you
hands.
have it.
Tiny
Thanks,
hands.
100%.
There you go.
Awesome.
All right.
Woo!
Can't argue that. I mean,
Nope.
Yeah.
I
See you next
mean-
week on the Comic Watchers, by the way.
amazing. I mean, is that not exactly true of what we've said for an hour now about who you come into this role and who you identify with when you're introduced to Robin? Like,
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know. I was totally a kid when Tim was Robin, and I should have been all over that. And I always thought he was the guy making Batman boring.
Well, most of the conversation I have translated into Dick Grayson as being the best Robin. I mean, it's like we've been talking about for weeks on end, people. I don't know what else I can say. I don't know what other proof I can bring to the table.
Batman's like, I'm gonna go beat up that mob, and he's like, no, maybe we should think this out. You're like, shut up.
Exactly.
Because he's the only one.
Yeah,
who's
go
actually
beat up the
smarter
mob.
Than Bruce.
So
What's
what? I want him to, it's not a book about. It's not a friggin'. It's not a spelling bee. It's it's a comic book about a man who dresses up like a bat who beats up bad guys.
He doesn't beat him up. He throws him off of buildings, for God's sakes, and gets left at the altar.
Yeah.
That's hilariously
Hey,
reductive.
too soon?
No.
so we
Ripping
have
sinks off the wall like Dewey Cox.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've come to the point where we can officially yield that there's no definitive answer as to who's the best Robin other than who you love.
Dick Grayson.
best. And possibly Dick Grayson, probably Damian if he's paired with Dick Grayson as Batman, but almost certainly not Jason Todd and definitely Tim Drake. So
I wanted so bad to provide like a really good explanation for why Jason is the best, and it's just nostalgia. I just like Jason.
It's not there.
Jason's problematic in a
He had,
lot of ways.
I wanted to.
When he first debuts pre-Crisis, yeah, he's literally written to be a Dick Grayson clone to such a degree that he apes his origin, and even though he's a ginger, Bruce has him dye his hair black so that people don't realize there's a new Robin. Like, that's some shady shit, man. And
That
some
happened.
bad writing.
Yeah.
Like, shame on the writers that did that.
That's
So then
That's like when you get a new girlfriend, but you don't want to be seen with her, so you go to the restaurant that none of your friends like.
also shady.
I'm unfamiliar with that scenario, but go on.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So far out of that game, I don't even know what you're talking about.
I know. I've been married forever. It was.
But then post Crisis, Jim Starlin kind of recreates him as this snotty, defiant, I'm gonna do what I want kid whose writing was on the wall when he let that bad guy fall to his death and then lied to Bruce about it.
By all accounts, though, Starlin hated writing Jason.
I feel like regardless of what the 1/900 votes would have been, Jason was done. Like whether that meant killing him or writing him out in some way, like the minute he lets that guy die and then lies to Bruce about it, he's done.
Yeah.
Crowbar be damned.
Well, it's just so weird. He was Robin for a fair few years, and there aren't that many memorable stories.
Like not.
That's
No,
because
like
there aren't that many memorable stories from that entire era. Like,
no, I know, and that's not his fault, but
yeah,
you can't really
like,
even judge him as a Robin.
Like pre-Crisis Batman in the 80s is not good.
Yeah.
I've read a fair amount of it, and it's just not good. Apologies to Doug Minch and Jerry Conway, who wrote a lot of it, but oof. And that's where Jason Todd resides most of his initial publishing appearances.
Yep.
Well, I believe Duda said it best, our fellow comic watcher, when they said, "I'm not sure who the best is, but I know who the cutest is," and posted Jar. And I think that is like the ultimate answer.
I think so. Jaro in a Robin costume. First of all, Jaro, period. I mean, let's give it up for Jaro.
Yeah, right.
Yes, Cody.
But let's see Jaro put on that 70s, early 80s Nightwing costume and look as cute.
Doesn't matter. We're not talking about Nightwing. We're talking about Robin. And all of the best Dick stories are Nightwing, Grayson, post Robin.
Who invited the hippie to the conversation?
Yeah, I think Tim needs a new, not Drake, but he needs a post-Robin identity that isn't Red Robin or Drake. Actually, I didn't
brown and yellow abomination who's wearing.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Like I said, I didn't hate the savior. I didn't hate that savior arc, and mostly because it felt so right for him. The Super Sons of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
I thought him in that arc was the best I'd seen, or the most I'd liked him, because it made total organic sense for post-crisis Tim to be old and bitter and hate. Like, literally everyone he loved died.
Right.
Like,
embittered
and
former
the people who he also loved who didn't die, like, turned on him. Like, this is a Batman this is a progression that makes complete and total sense, and way more sense than was he doing now, like a road trip or something.
I don't know.
We got a couple of comments. Facebook, Morris Hutchins, Comic Watch. The first Robin is the best. Dick Grayson all day long.
Yeah.
And
I'll give you the $10 later.
Robin, knock knock. Batman, who's there? Robin, not your parents.
That's hard.
God damn, Tyler.
I'm gonna put Dick the basic bitch. Well, it's the same people that say Hush is their favorite Batman story. We'll say that.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Ouch. Savage.
That was hardcore. You just won the internet. Move over, Gail. Well, with that, we have crossed the hour threshold, and I think we've all gotten some pretty good opinions out there as to who's the best Robin, who's our favorite Robin, and who's the worst Robin. But at the end of the day, what really matters is who is your personal favorite Robin, because don't let us or anybody else tell you who, quote unquote, should be your favorite or should be the best or should be the worst. Make up your own damn mind. Read what you enjoy and take what you want from it, not what jackasses on the internet like us tell you to think. With that, thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, John, Jack, and Cody for dropping in. OG Comic Watchers Show. Respect. And we will be back next Thursday with a brand new episode. Maybe not. No, I tell a lie. We're coming on to talk about X-Men live Saturday. Right. Day of the week. Hell yeah.
Right.
Live on Saturday we're going to dive into where the hell do you start with the X-Men.
That's right. Out of all the 153 books of the X titles that are currently out, where do you start and how far do you go back behind until you're reading 300 bubbles just for one page? X-Men. Tune in Saturday.
Baby, all day.
Great. Can't wait.
It will be great, and I can't wait. Gentlemen, as always, it's a pleasure. Support your local comic shop. Thank you for listening. As ever, Comic Watcher Show is a part of comic-watch.com.
And don't forget, real heroes wear masks.
Oh.
Wear a mask, save the city!